Welcome back, everybody, to Sneaky Nick's Assassins versus Nowhere Spirit. That's a Dota Trash Destruction King of the Hill, where Sneaky Nick's Assassins are the 3-week winners now, at least. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can catch me over at GotCowDota, and I'm joined by Blaze.
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going very well. It's the first game. Super exciting. Super quick, but super exciting. Those are the sort of games that are just fun to cast, fun to watch. And it looks like we're not going to be letting up on the gas pedal here. Sneaky Nick's Assassins open up with the IO Tiny combination.
Yeah, for the live viewers, transitioning from some rock and roll to some rock and roll, we're going to see Tiny all across the map here. Some awesome play potentials from these two. I mean, the global presence is going to be great for a split-pushing Naga Siren if they can pinpoint the real original rather than the illusions and stay on point with that. And, of course, just the amazing potential of a Wisp in general. The attack speed boost for Tiny, which is, in my opinion, his greatest detriment as a late game carry. And then, of course, the mobility that you get out of the Tether Relocate. So I think that they do have the tools to deal with it. Things like the Shadow Shaman's Hex and Shackles, they can focus down the Wisp and kind of kill the medic before worrying about the heavy. But either way, I definitely think it comes down to execution, movement across the map, and we have seen some really great plays by both Fluff and Stuff and IX Mike on the Wisp in the past, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this should be very exciting. And, of course, the Tinker is going to come out here for the mid, allowing Sneaky Nick's Assassins have a total global strategy so far. And if there's one hero who can push in the late game stronger than a 6-slotted Naga Siren, it's going to be 6-slotted Tiny with an IO on him. So Sneaky Nick's Assassins not really that shy of that Naga Siren, and Nowhere Spirit seems to be flipping the script and trying to do the exact same strategy back as Sneaky Nick's Assassins that Sneaky Nick's Assassins just did to them.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, just mirroring the strat, getting the early game presence of the Shadow Shaman that we saw, as well as some potential mid lane dominance from the Naga Siren. But in this case here, they're also going to follow through with a Doom, a pretty good pickup against the Tinker. It cancels the BOTs, it stops him from casting his spells, and there, of course, you can put it on just about anybody, and it will essentially disable anything they can do but right-click, and that's going to be just a really good hero at this point in the draft, but it depends how they want to lane it. We have seen offlane Dooms, we have seen carry Dooms, and the mid Doom is still there on the occasion. So the bottom line is he needs some farm, he needs to get some items up, because baseline, he's a walking health bar.
Yeah, this is another Beastmaster coming out. That's going to be presumably Beastmaster so that Tinker can use the BOTs, the Boots of Travel, to teleport anywhere on the map, because Beastmaster is going to have that Hawk who can fly around that is teleportable too. He's a teleport target. So it's basically that Beastmaster is going to play as an anchor and is also going to be able to do the ancient stacking. So they're just opening up avenues of opportunity for farm. They're minimizing opportunity costs for travel, and they're giving Tinker a ton of leeway where he wants to go. Literally a global team now if you have that Hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Shame they banned out the Nature Prophet. I'd love to see 5 people just appearing out of thin air with the Relocate and the BOTs, but even so, it's still a really solid pickup, and it allows Tinker to maneuver, as you said. That's a really big deal for him. Early game, as soon as he gets those BOTs, he wants to be farming, pushing out lanes, and the March Machines will burn down those Naga Siren illusions pre-heart, so it's actually going to be a pretty big deal that he stays global, and he really just keeps moving across the map. The final selection, probably something along the lines of a Visage, just because those familiars are a new TP target, and of course is very prevalent in the lane. But they can do really many different support options. As long as they have that Disruptor band out, they feel pretty confident going into the last bit of the draft here.
Yeah, not only would the Visage be a nice pick, the VS would also be a nice pick. That would kill a little bit of their global strategy, but it would give them even more of that late game potential alongside that Beastmaster and the Tiny, and it would give them a stun that at the moment they kind of need. They've got the Tiny who has the Avalanche, but that is not a reliable stun. They have the ultimate coming out of the Beastmaster, but in terms of a point-and-click will hit every time if it's not disjointed stun, they don't have anything, and I think the VS would give them a little bit of value in that, particularly if you're going to be worried about the Shadow Shaman throwing up those shackles, or if you are going to be worried about some additional channeling spells coming out, possibly from Nowhere Spirit.
Hey, if you get a 25-minute Hex, that works too. We'll have to see how SNA really does in the laning phase, because I think that's really when crunch time comes for him. Like the mid-game, obviously there's a lot of stress because you have to worry about TPing to the wrong location, getting counter-ganked. One great thing is the Song of the Siren can cancel your BOTs and they can scout you out. So if they get any kind of clear vision tool like the Batrider's Firefly, it's a really good way to shut him down. But it's also the laning phase is a really big deal because Tinker's attack animation isn't all that great, and like you said, he can rely on the Beastmaster's stacks of the Ancients, but it's also pretty predictable for some like a Batrider Shadow Shaman combo to just smoke up and try to pick him off there. So yeah, there are vulnerabilities to the selection. It's a little greedy, but if it pays off, it certainly does.
Yeah, No Earth Spirit is definitely going to have to go up and ward up that ancient stack and continuously make sure that that is not going to be stackable by that Beastmaster. Because if Tiny gets up there with his Aghanim's and knocks down a 5-stack, if Tinker gets up there and knocks it down with March of Strange, even if the Beastmaster gets up there and starts knocking it down, that is an avenue of farm that No Earth Spirit straight does not have until that Naga Siren is already fairly beastly. I guess at this point in time, the No Earth Spirit has an avenue of farm in that they can retire that Batrider into the jungle and stack. They are going to pick up the Vengeful Spirit. That pick with the Batrider makes even more sense because now you can swap out the Batrider as well. So Vengeful Spirit, I like that pickup. I think obviously it fits their lineup very well. No Earth Spirit, they're looking for another support here, presumably. What do you think would fit in with what they're going for?
Hard to say. I mean, they do have a little bit of push directly with the Shadow Shaman, not just the Naga Siren, but I think they really should go for those pickoffs as much as possible. I mean, the Tinker is going to have to be outside his base. He doesn't just sit there. But it looks like they're going for something passive. They're really just taking a page out of SNA's book here.
Now, see, I don't feel like the Treant Protector fits this lineup as well as it fit the previous lineup, because once again, Treant Protector lengthens the duration of the early game so that the mid-game transition is smoother for your team. It gives you an artificial, a lot of times anyway, an artificial sense of doing better than you are to give somebody a farming opening. And yeah, that's great because they have the Naga Siren and they can open up some space with the Naga Siren with that Treant Protector. But Batrider wants to be really active. Shadow Shaman wants to be really active. Even the Doom wants to go in there and be fairly active. And the Treant Protector without the Tide Hunter alongside him is not going to be nearly as potent through those 4-on team fights. So No Earth Spirit's really depending on picking. Whereas Sneaky Nyx Assassins, when they picked the Treant Protector, used every part of his skill base by orienting themselves around straight team fighting as 4. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely potential with the hero, as we saw last game, but I'm curious if it's going to pan out for them the way they intend. My question is there going to be any shenanigans with the Roche Pit going on for SNA? They're on the dire side. They've got Beastmaster, Vengeful Spirit, Wisp. They've got a lot of heroes that can really pack a punch when it comes down to doing Roche. But like you said, they're very commonplace with the smoke movement down bottom. So whether or not they actually head into Roshan or just go up for some good wards, we'll have to see.
Well, probably, if history's any indicator, they'll drop a sentry right there, an observer right there. And they are moving forward. They are not headed back toward that Roche Pit, at least not immediately. And they will potentially bump in to some of their opponents. Take a look at the items. There is a smoke on Bannerth as well. Nothing out of the ordinary there. There's the observer. Where's the sentry going down? And they are still unseen. Oh, the smoke expired, so now they see the sentry didn't go down, but the observer exactly where to be expected. And if I'm No Earth Spirit and I've been watching the King of the Hills or the Join Dota League or the Sunday Evening Cup series, first thing I do, and look at that, there is the sentry right there. First thing I do is drop the sentry right there, and just get rid of everything, just burn it all. But we do seem to have a little bit of an opportunity here, so I'll let you run through Sneaky Nyx Assassin, and I will go through No Earth Spirit.
Yeah. In the corner of the dire, we're going to be seeing IX Mike 88 running on the Beastmaster offlane. A pretty traditional setup for him. Even it has a sentry ward right now in case they try to ward up the Ancients, which, as we mentioned, is going to be really important later. But up on the top lane, we're going to be seeing Whitebeard Dota playing the Vengeful Spirit, supporting alongside Fluff and Stuff, currently towards the mid lane here. Actually looking for possibly a little bit of support on the mid for the Tinker. Anyways, that is Fluff and Stuff, and of course he is right alongside Ush Dota on the Tinker, leaving Tiny to be played by SNA.
All right, and for No Earth Spirit, we do have Knave, who is fighting a Wisp Illusion at the moment. He's going to be on that Treant Protector. The Doombringer is going to be played by Brix. Naga Siren in the mid lane is going to be played by Relic. The off-lane Batrider is going to be half-right Eggroll, and then the support Fan of Soyan, who is also hanging out in the mid lane. So a 2-on-2 in the mid so far is going to be Fan of Soyan on that Shadow Shaman.
Yeah. Right now, Io just starting off with Tangos, though. Of course, he did pull out a lot of the consumable things, wards and such, so he only has 290 gold banked up, but I'm assuming he's going to go for a bottle rush so that he can help the Tinker as much as possible in that mid. It really seems to be their weakest lane at this stage. The Beastmaster's pretty okay. I mean, it's a Doom Treant dual lane. It's weird, and he's not going to get crazy amounts of farm out of it, but it's not going to be killing him off unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah.
So
Bat Rider, on the other hand, does have to be extremely careful. Every time he crosses this line, he is risking getting hit by that magic missile, followed up by the avalanche toss, which would just about kill him if he's not at full health. And in fact, almost did just about kill him from full health a minute ago. So he's got to be extremely careful moving up forward for that gold. And I expect this Bat Rider to, by 3 minutes, be in the jungle. I don't expect him to feel like he can take this lane on for very much longer.
yeah, it's interesting. We actually already see Doom going for a Centaur Stomp, a very mana-intensive spell.
Up top, we do have the avalanche combo with the Firefly trying to get him away. There's no toss, but one last out attack coming out of Fluff and Stuff is going to secure that kill just before Ice Mike goes down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, just in the nick of time there. Treant Protector, level 2, is able to Leech Seed on top of that Scorched Earth. He's taken a ton of damage over time, and yeah, they started off with a good Centaur War Stomp, so a lot of good attack speed, and they had the Disable to finish him off. But like you said, Bat Rider falls first. That's a much bigger kill for SNA.
Yeah. Especially since that Bat Rider is trying to get up that Blink Dagger as quickly as possible. Ix Mike, I mean, he would like a Blink Dagger ideally. He would like a lot of things, I'm sure. Beastmaster does scale very well with gear, but it's not like he can't be active until he gets an item, whereas Half-Ride Egg Girl really cannot get into this game until he gets 2,150 gold.
Yeah, definitely agree with that sentiment there. We'll see if he actually has to make that rotation within the next minute or so, if he's going to try to stick it out and survive. It looks like he is heading back out, and I don't blame him. I think that, like you said, he can't cross that line. He can barely get experience. And now that the supports are pulling actively and he has no way to block that off, his best course of action is probably just to start stacking. Try to control that jungle and find his own independent farm over there.
And yeah, there are some stacks going up in the jungle by Nav, who did miss that stack just now, actually. But he's trying. He's trying to get some stacks up for that Bat Rider. Bat Rider is actually returning to lane, which shocks me. The fact that he decided to go all the way back this way, and then, well, I'll give it one more shot up in this top lane, is very surprising. But yeah, Ice Mike is going to go down again. I just jumped down just in time to watch him go down to bricks. It was, I think, the exact same. Yep, the Leech Seed along with the Scorched Earth combination.
Well, this time they had the Shadow Shaman, though. Actually, yeah. Fanción had a great flank right here in this tree line, and so he was just waiting for his opportunity to go right back around. Did a good wrap. And that's Disable is huge. 2.75 seconds of channel Disable. Of course, you're not attacking during that, but you're certainly setting up allies for success there. So we do see Bat Rider once again forced off the lane. Doesn't have to use his Firefly just yet, but he's not going to be seeing creeps anytime soon.
Whitebeard Dota actually fighting from the low ground. He is going to throw out that Wave of Terror. There is going to be the Magic Missile, and he's just going to let it ride until Half-Ride Egg Roll comes down from the high ground, at least. He's just trying to contest that rune spot at the moment. Now, that was a little cheeky what happened up there in the top lane. What Bat Rider was trying to get experience from the low ground in the river on that pole camp to the side. And Io forced him out with the Spirit, saying, nah, if you're going to wait there, you're going to be taking a bunch of damage.
Precisely. Now we'll look at the farm values across the board. Right now, CS for Naga Siren is topped out at 25. Right behind her is Doom, who's devouring away. He is actually maxing his Devour first, so he's going to have a ton of cash. On top of that, you look at his first item of the day, and that's going to be a Hand of Midas. So he really is just going for the value money Doom. He is getting as greedy as can be, but in about 10 to 15 minutes time, he is going to be decked out. He's going to be one of the fastest farming heroes in the game as a result.
Yeah, the question is, will that well, that'll probably be about 16 minutes if he does get that Hand of Midas up when it looks like he is going to, which is probably at about 5:30. So probably about 16 minutes when you're really going to have to start fearing that Doom coming into the play as a decked out hero. But the question is, can a Tiny naturally farm faster and just become too much with the ganks and with the push potential coming out of his team? So,
yeah, I think that Tiny will be outclassed. I mean, you're talking about the Naga Siren on top of the Doom, but if the Tinker can really get going, it's going to still be in their favor, because no matter how many items you get on a Doom, he still can get hexed up. He can still be locked down with an Ethereal Blade or something like that. So there's a lot that you have going for you in that regard. The problem is, right now they're not getting that Ancient Farm. It's been blocked off. The Sentry Ward's about to expire. So that's a full 4 minutes they weren't able to stack. But on top lane,
oh, in top lane, we are seeing a little bit of action as the IO does decide to dive in with the rest of the squad. Whitebeard probably will go down here as Half-Ride Egg Roll tries to move in and assert his dominance there. He actually grabs that kill by throwing the sticky napalm down and making the game think that he was throwing out enough damage. Or was it the Firefly? I think it was the sticky napalm that triggered that kill. But anyway, whatever the case, the tower gets the last hit. And Bat Rider making up some lost time by going 1-1.
Yeah, so that's going to help him out get the Tranquil Boots up so that he can always be at full health. Like you said, they almost have a 100 to 0 combo, but if it's just shy of that, if it's a 90% to 0, then he's always going to be sitting at full HP with those Tranquils, and that might be the HP buffer he needs, but we'll have to see. For right now, it looks like he's fallen back, and that might mean he will make his way over to the jungle. Current stat count is looking pretty bleak, though. It looks like that he's got absolutely nothing to farm on this Radiant side.
Yeah, he's going to have to stack himself and then travel camp to camp with the Firefly, which is, I mean, effective, but much slower than what you'd want. Of course, IX Mike has completely fallen behind. He is not getting that extra avenue of farm because Nowhere Spirit has done such a good job of contesting and blocking that camp. And in addition, he's died twice, and he's been nowhere near his creep. So he's actually sitting at 7 creep hits with 2 deaths. So the Bat Rider, in terms of as an offlaner, has been doing much, much stronger than IX Mike in this particular game.
Now, how do you feel about the skill build, though? He's gone for 3 points in Call of the Wild. That means he does have the level 2 Hawk, gives him greater vision across the board, and once the BOTs come online for Tinker, that means they have more understanding of whatever he's teleporting into. But for right now, it means his Ancient farm is going to be slower, assuming he does try to axe them down. And in general, I don't feel like he's as threatening once he gets his level 6.
Yeah, I really feel in a lot of ways like IX Mike's pick, the pick for the Beastmaster, is a facilitation pick. They don't expect to rely on him at all. He is just there as a skill support, as it were, to help that Tinker get around and also to boost the damage output of the VS's aura in the late game. So he's there to facilitate the Tiny and facilitate the Tinker. And so the skill build works with that strategy. The question is, will that strategy pan out, or will they end up having needed IX Mike to be putting out some damage?
Yeah, that's a good question, but obviously remains to be seen as the game progresses. But once we get in, we see Ban Earth Spirit dropping another Sentry Ward in the Ancient territory, this one in the tree line. So even the Sentry Ward that was dropped down by IX Mike earlier is not going to be able to see it without Vengeful Spirit's Wave of Terror.
Yeah. And Wave of Terror presumably will be coming over here. I imagine once IX Mike gets frustrated, he is going to ask for some help down here. There's not really a whole lot of help incoming. And they are also down on kills. This has actually been a surprisingly passive game for SNA. It makes sense because they're trying to get Fluff and stuff up to level 6. They're trying to get Tiny as much as they can toward his Aghanim's. And he's been getting pretty good farm, but giving that Doom complete free farm also might not be the best idea in the world.
Yeah, well, let's see what he goes for as an initial item pickup. Well, obviously, AC, Shivas, maybe Aghanims, I don't know. There's lots of great ways to build a Doom, but depending on what they're really going for, that's going to be the question.
Now, this is painful. The Tiny gets his Midas up at first use is going to be 9 minutes on the dot, it looks like. Yeah, 9 minutes flat, first use. 5 minutes and 30 seconds is when the Doombringer dies out, probably 6 minutes first use. So 3-minute difference, and SNA is also trying to get enough damage output with the gank rotations that they can stop that Doom from farming and stop that Naga from getting a Radiance. In terms of Naga's farm, she's at 2,100 gold, also has not really been moved on, and she's going to be getting dangerously close to her Radiance here in about 4 minutes as well. Shiz coming out trying to farm up his BOTs on the double stack, the tri-stack actually that's come out here. They do have the Wave of Terror to scout this out. They will find out in a couple of seconds that this has been once again warded up.
Yeah, but the Sentry Ward is expired here. I'm actually not sure if it fully blocks it. We'll see in 15 seconds, because this is a lot of stacks for how much pressure Ban Earth Spirit has been putting out in as far as Sentry Wards go. But if they get the Hawk up and drop another Sentry Ward, they will be able to de-ward it soon, if it even needs it. But spawning? No, they don't spawn. Okay, so it does block it, and they will need to most likely drop down the Hawk and get another Sentry up.
Yeah. Which, well, let's see. Is that the bots for the Tinker? He is. Yeah, he just got them. So, at the very least, they got out those Ancients what they needed, which was the global initiation coming out of that Tinker and the global push. So, they will be able to apply some pressure now, finally, and assert themselves on the map. That's desperately what they needed. The problem is it too little, too late? Will the Naga Siren start to get out of control? Will the Doombringer start to get out of control as the mid-game starts to roll around?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be that big of a deal, because right now he is only actually Roar's going to go down. Interesting. They actually relocate in. Big kill. Very nicely done.
Meanwhile, in the jungle is getting caught out. He is going to be shackled down. He tried to initiate on Nate, but it's not working. Half-Fried Egg Roll now coming in. And Fluff and Stuff is only here for 2 seconds. Later, buddy, Whitebeard did have his retreat covered well enough, though, and he will manage to get away.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They weren't able to bring him down there. They just didn't have the lockdown that they were looking for, and the team that gets the kill is going to be SNA in the end. But they do look out on the fact that the Sentry Ward is technically in range of that Observer Ward here in the river. So the bottom rune spawn will be in control of Ban Earth Spirit for a moment. But yeah, I mean, that relocate is really well set up by that Primal Roar. And Ix Mike is even going to be going for an Aghanim Scepter to try to make sure that he's always going to be the initiator in these situations. And that's going to be to great effect as they move forward. Doom finally picking up his first item, the Mechanism. But if you look at his mana pool, he's only sporting 440 right now. 300 mana is Doom plus Mechanism combined. That's pretty much his teamfight contribution right there.
Yeah, I assume that the next item he's going to get is working toward a Shiva's, grabbing that Mystic Staff if he can, so that he'll have a larger mana pool and actually be able to support that Mechanism along with a Stolen Spell, along with the Doom. Because you're right now he's going to blow his load way too early in these fights, and his DPS is decent, but it's not staggering. And it won't be for some time still. We are seeing Ice Mike down here get a rotation from Whitebeard. Whitebeard trying to make sure that he is coming in and getting ready to move on Nav again. He didn't get him the first time, but this is a vengeance swing. He grabs himself a TP, making sure that he always has one on him. And Ice Mike going to throw out the bird to scout to make sure there's no help coming. Nav does not smell anything funny here, though. He's going to go forward. He's going to be roared, followed by the Wave of Terror. There's the TP reaction, and that is some deforestation.
Yeah, there's never been a more dead tree in your life. I mean, like, the Tinker didn't even have to BOT, and he was already walking right down there. And then, of course, they had the roar, they had the relocate, but coming back up top.
They teleport back.
Committee that will be swapped out. Still, the Doom will fall on Tiny, and I think he will drop down here. One last right click, but a deny comes out from the IO, actually. Fluff and Stuff, taking that gold right from the Doom's fingertips, and from here, just dissuading them from diving further.
Fluff and Stuff saying, anybody doubt taking KVH out and putting me in? Don't doubt it. In the middle of everything, I'm going to grab that deny. Just because. So, 4-4, but really one of those was a deny. Fluff and Stuff, that was a play of the day moment. In the middle of all of that bedlam, he's able to see clearly. Doom now. Let's see. Well, he must have just bought something because he's got no gear whatsoever. No, maybe he didn't buy anything. Where's all his gold going?
I mean, he bought a magic stick. He bought a TP scroll or two. He did die just recently, so I don't know.
It seems like he should be farming faster than he is. It really, I don't know. They're doing a very good job of shutting him down, considering they didn't rotate on him in the early game. Nav in the bottom lane. It's going to get taken out again. These TP reactions, this is exactly what SNA has been wanting for a while. The relocate is going to be up in 5 seconds, so Ix Mike, if he gets in trouble, can be brought back. The Tinker's going to go home, grab a little bit of health, presumably. Where'd he end up going? No, he just went to the mid lane to push off this wave on their tower. Now he's going to go home, get a little bit of health and mana, come back. Meanwhile, the bottom lane for Ban Earth is going to go down. First tier 1 to drop, presumably, as IO grabs that last hit on that tower. And Tinker right back defending their tier 1 mid, which is very close to dropping, but not quite within deny range. And another rotation coming around onto Fanasoyan this time. Wave of Terror to scout things out. Fanasoyan now is going to throw out the Hex. There's the TP relocate, or the relocate gank, yeah. That 1,000 unit relocate making it happen.
Yeah, essentially a blink dagger right there, but yeah, it works in this situation for sure. Shadow Shaman getting brought down. All I want is consistent kills. If they can get a kill a minute with this relocate, they're perfectly happy with that. And one cool thing that Fluff and Stuff did end up going for with this Wisp is kind of an old school build, going for Tranquil's Bottles and Soul Ring. He'll make his way towards his Mechanism long term, but for right now, he's happy just fueling his allies primarily with mana, as it does give the 150 mana surge. Times 1.5 to whoever he's tethered to.
Yep. Not only that, it reduces his own health so that so that he can use whatever means he wants, either the bottle or the tranquils, to boost his allies back up. Because obviously, if he's not gaining any health, then his allies aren't gaining any health through the tether. So you use the Soul Ring to knock yourself down just enough that you can heal up somebody that you're tethered to. You can never have to worry about being at full health, which is a weird thing to worry about, but for an IO, it's a real concern.
Speaking of real concerns, now we do see the first thing looking up for Ban Earth Spirit. Woo! Relic has finished his Radiance at only 15 minutes and 40 seconds. This is an amazingly well-timed Radiance. He's going to get this out and start pushing away, but like we talked about a little in the draft, they do have quite a few good answers. The global presence of the team as a whole, and especially these March machines that are going to be coming out from Tinker more and more and more.
Yeah, Nagasire now is going to be able to farm out an area around her about this large. completely bare every time she can call those illusions. And the illusions are, as expected, fully formed. They are level 4, already at the 16-minute mark. So, SNA, they're basically going to have to continue to rely on these picks of the supports and trying to get some more towers. But at the moment, their tower pushing has been a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, you'd expect them to have some more momentum, but you look at the big deal here is Fan of Sion has been roaming unsuccessfully so much that he's still level 5.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I did not even notice that. That is really, really rough. And looking at the net worth, the top 2 other than the Tinker. Oh, we're going to see the relocate potentially. Yeah, relocate as half-fried egg roll does come in. And he's just going to wait, trying to grab that Tinker, or trying to grab the... Yeah, the Tinker's coming in with the March of the Machines. Wave of Terror. This is the most crazy, out-of-control engagement we've seen all day, where there's a relocate 1,000 units and then relocate back the 1,000 units. They couldn't pick a target. Neither team really knew what was going on. It was just a lot of AoE effects.
Exactly.
It's like
but
a Michael
essentially
Bay
what they were
movie.
trying to accomplish there is to bait out the Batrider lasso and then break it with the relocate instantly. That was Fluff and Stuff. He predicted a little hard on that one, but hey, it dissuaded their assault. It made sure that they didn't actually go for it, and whether it's on cooldown or not, they're not getting the Tiny here.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of pioneered by Pylai Die, where it was just like every single time he faced a Batrider lasso, he would immediately relocate to his own position, and then at the last second tether to the ally in need. But in this case here, they barely have enough to bring him down in the first place, and it's just a cautionary tale.
The lasso does go up on Ice Mike, though, because it was not used. It was saved, and Ice Mike will go down, even though there was a very nice defensive Whitebeard. It was not quite in time. Now, Whitebeard's taking a fair amount of damage from Radiance Burn of these illusions. The Naga. And we could hear the Naga's farming rate. It would sound like Nature's Wrath going off for Nature's Prophet, just all the time, constantly. Just ting, 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 ting. And she's starting to pull away. She's now become the top farmer on the board. And she will continue to farm harder than this Tiny until possibly when that Tiny grabs his Ganums, but even more likely throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Finally, Shadow Shaman finds his level 6 and just dumps his towers on the ward for 3 towers to bring down. So he got almost half the tower of tier 1 top, but it's just, I don't know if it's really worthwhile to give that gold to the Tiny when he's about to go into snowball mode. Actually checking out the courier, that's a full Aghanim Scepter, and that's when it just starts getting out of control for Tiny. Yeah, Naga Siren, she's got her tool for farming, the Radiance in the jungle, but now Tiny's got his, and he's going to be cleaving down creeps and potentially ancients left and right.
Yeah, not just creeps and ancients, also towers. The thing is, Naga can't really push down the towers with that Radiance. She needs to get additional items up. The item that Tiny uses for farming with that huge cleave coming out of the big old tree, that is also siege damage. And with the overpower, relocate is going to go off, but it's going to go off a little off the mark, though. Ice Mike trying to get in. He thought about throwing out the Primal Roar there, but could not quite get in range. There's going to be the toss and the slow, but the Siren Song is going to reinitiate here. The IO is going to leave. SNA and Ice Mike down here by themselves, but Tinker could come in at any time, and there's no help coming for Banner. So it looks like both these teams are happy to just go their separate ways.
Unfortunately for Fluff and Stuff, he's not so fortunate about that. When he rubber banded back to his original location, they were waiting for him. And 3 people just shackled him up, and that was the easiest kill of their life. So it's actually a pretty clever usage of the Songless Siren to just lock them in place, make sure that they can't bring the Tiny back, and eliminate any turnaround potential.
And the mechanism is going to be used to help push down this tower. The first, the mid tower did go down as well from that Naga Siren. So 2 tier 1 towers now down on the side of SNA, only 1 down on the side of Banner. We're 20 minutes in and we're still under 3,000 gold lead in either direction, slightly in favor of Banner. This is an extremely close game.
But check out the Roche pit. We're already seeing the Roche about to fall below 2,000 HP. A little bit overcharged to lend them a few last right clicks here. Even some good healing from the overcharged bottle usage. And Tiny will get an Aegis of the Immortal, as well as some great golden experience here. They don't have Relocate up just yet, but they're just in the healing process right now, priming for an assault in the near future. And the mechanics that really enabled that Roche to happen a lot faster than No F Spirit were expected was definitely the Beastmaster Aura, now rank 2. The slow effect from the Lesser Boar on the Beastmaster, and of course, just Tiny being so farmed right now that he can just dish out the physical damage.
Yeah, the Beastmaster Aura is probably going to be the next thing, I would imagine, the next thing that is going to be going up. With that extra attack speed, along with the Vengeance Aura, which is now starting to be scaled by Whitebeard, on top of the overcharge, on top of the Ganums for this Tiny, we're looking at a ton of damage. We're looking at 3-4 second tier 2s dropping. Especially once that
ridiculous.
Hyperstone comes out.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about that right now. Presumably, since he did go for the treads, he does need a little bit more movement speed, so he might opt for the Yasha first. It used to be a traditional build where you go the Yasha, then you go the AC, and then you go back for the Manta style. So you get the illusions, you get the attack speed and the movement speed, and then of course you benefit from that Hyperstone and the negative armor on those towers themselves. So we'll see if Tiny is worried about getting kited and wants to go for the Yasha itself, or if he's just going to go full out. But right now, damage on Naga Siren.
Naga Siren is going to be called out by Ice Mike. There's the Hexa and the Shackle, but the Shackle's going to be interrupted. The net goes out on Ice Mike. High Fried Egg Roll is going to go in and pull off SNA. SNA down to about 500 health. They're right outside the tower. The tower's aggroing on him as well. Bright going to come in trying to heal him up. There's the overcharge as well, and there's going to be a teleport coming out, bringing him all the way back. And he's now trying to get back up into the fight as Bricks moves up on Ice Mike. Ice Mike is very low. He is actually going to go down to Nav. Nav is throwing out that overgrowth and to great effect. Now Tinker coming in with the laser, and that is going to be Charles Schubert for that Doombringer. Half Fried Egg Roll is going to be forced to blink away. And through all of that, SNA had about 400, 500 health or less for the bulk of that fight, and still could not be killed because of that IO.
Yeah, I mean, he always had the Aegis to fall back on, but I'm impressed that they were able to keep him alive this whole time. Some great usage of the Tinker, and that healing effect, even pre-mechanism, was so great with the tether of the IO. They tried to go for eventual swap, but unfortunately she was level 10, couldn't break the lasso at the time they intended, and then she got doomed up. So whether or not that was a waste of a doom, it's questionable, but they did actually get down 2 heroes in the end.
SNA just doing a little bit of flash farming. No big deal. He's working on his next time. He's got 3,500 gold in his coffers. So, and he's still a solid 1,000 behind the Naga Siren, which just shows how fast she's been farming. Naga Siren is chilling in the jungle. She's got some stacks up now, too, to knock down. Both these heroes are going to be absolute titans very soon.
Yeah, I mean, the Song of Siren is a very high impact spell, especially against a team that's not going to be going for BKBs for a very long time. But she's not immortal. There's a Hex on the field, there's the Roar on the field. There are a lot of ways for them to bring her down, and they just need to kind of scout her out with this Hawk and BOT to it before the Radiant starts taking effect.
Yeah, the Naga Siren does have the Yasha up, and the next item on the Doombringer was that Mystic Staff, so he is trying to get his mana pool up. He's now working on the Plate Mail, so his Chiefest Guard will be done soon. Boots of Trav up on the Naga Siren and also up on the Tinker. The
Radiant Jungle, man.
Radiant Jungle, we are seeing some engagement here as Relic is just going to TP away.
Yeah, it was Doom was actually the target of choice. They had the Hawk going on. They tried to BOT and relocate to it, but Naga Siren was there with the Song. And like I said, such a versatile spell. Very, very good for those de-initiations, and they're able to walk and TP away to safety.
Yep, the top tower, top tier 1, still standing, but probably not for long. Naga Siren does have the Siren Song down on cooldown, which means this is a perfect time for SNA to try and push something in. They know they won't be reinitiated on. The IX Mike still not sitting on top of his Aghanim, so he's getting very close. He's 400 away. And he hasn't leveled in quite some time, actually. He's still level 11. Like, back when we were talking about the Auras, the Vengeance Aura, and the Inner Beast, he was level 11 then, I'm pretty sure, so... Really?
Yeah, actually, that's totally accurate. And it's because of that little trench change of the experience. It takes so much to break out of level 11 to level 12. Finally, he gets through and is able to start ranking up his Inner Beast a little bit further.
Yep.
But was kind of stuck in that trench for a short period of time. We do see some smoke movement up top, but not really going to find anything, as everybody else is across the map, farming Ancients, farming mid lane, just kind of making use of every other resource available.
Both teams have very aggressive vision up, by the way. We haven't mentioned this very much, but the ward here and a ward here for the Dire side. The Radiant side have a push ward that is no longer that useful, but it does give them entrance from that north side. And, of course, they have the Eye ward on this rune spot, which will give them a little bit of vision up and then those pathways toward their secret shop and in the river. So, and the mid ward up for the Radiant as well.
So things are going really well for SNA. They got the Hex at a great time, pre-25 minutes, of course, on top of the Blink Dagger. And they're going to be finding that mechanism soon for IO. For those that don't know, the IO Tether 1.5 healing on top of the 1x that, of course, you get from an AoE spell like Mechanism means that you're going to receive 625 health from a Mechanism usage if the IO is missing 250 HP. So it's really good for burst healing. On top of that, they get the Aghanim Scepter up on IX Mike 88. In just a moment's time, SNA are pretty much at their strongest other than, of course, the potential super late game of Tiny against Rax.
Yeah, this is starting to become kind of hazardous for Banner because it looks like they're doing better than and he does rush that Assault Cuirass, so he is planning on doing some heavy pushing. He got his Hyperstone up, and he just straight up one-stop shot bought it. So, Tiny coming out very strong here for the push. They're looking to get this Tier 1 tower still. But look at the gold. It's never really breached over 3,000 in anybody's favor. But the experience is almost 10,000 in favor of SNA, and that's largely because the gold is being held up on the back of the Naga Siren, and Naga Siren's farm comes from illusions that don't give her experience. So she's able to artificially ingest, like artificially bolster the coffers of her team, making that gold shard an unreliable method of determining how close the game is. SNA is really more in control of this game than it would appear by looking at the metrics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can add a little bit of that to the Doom as well. The fact that they're keeping up with a team that has a Doom and a Naga Siren, as far as gold value goes, is incredible in of itself. You do see Relocate, however, coming down.
Yeah, the Relic is going to be trying to heal up by that tree, but it is not going to be enough. She is now trying to get away side to side, but the toss interrupts it, and she will sing no more as Egg for Fried Egg Roll will try to take out that Io and take him down now. They're going to remove onto the Tiny. The Tiny is going to drop down, and the Aegis had expired. That's 1,000 gold going the way of the Batrider.
Actually, a really good turnaround. I mean, sure, they lost the Naga Siren, but coming in with the full cavalry here, and SNA just wasn't ready for it. Tanker was preoccupied, and the Vengeful Spirit was in no position to act. So now they're going to not only take those 3 very important hero kills, but they are also going to be able to take this tower. If the mechanism was up for IO there, I think that fight would have been completely different. But it's in the stash, and as a result, they do lose out in that fight.
The first time the stash has let down IX Mike. But either way, as we move forward here, this is going to be a tower takedown. And losing the Naga Siren there is actually great. As Naga Siren's gold is, I mean, she has way more gold than the rest of her team, which is artificially giving them a sense of, look how much farm we have. The rest of her team is actually pretty poor with the exception of the Doombringer. That was a great method of just baiting out the Naga Siren, letting her die. It wasn't really a bait out, but letting that Naga Siren die or having that Naga Siren die and turning it around means that the gold from her is going to the rest of her team. The rest of her team is richer for it, and if there's one person who doesn't have to worry about being able to farm, it's the Naga Siren. So she can lose gold. It doesn't matter to her.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of games where the Naga Siren gets farmed enough that she can actually consider herself 7 slotted by switching items out on the courier. So she's not really worried about her late game presence. She's going to get farmed no matter what. But now we see some key items coming out. For her, the Heart of Tarask. For the Batrider, he's moving in rapidly towards a Scythe after picking up that Forge Staff. And then, of course, Doom, sitting on 4k himself with that Shiva's Guard. Who knows what he'll go for?
Yeah, he is probably saving potentially necessary for a buyback, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an Assault Cuirass come out on him or possibly another Scythe of Ice, just to try and lock down this Tiny as much as possible and get rid of some of the trouble that comes from his crack exterior.
Yeah, you see one of the few items that actually counters itself, essentially, as far as those armor auras go. So if you can pick that up, since the Tiny has found his as well, that will be all the better for them.
All right, Relic is potentially going to... Oh, the Wave of Terror goes off the wrong way. They don't know where she is because it is a nighttime, and she's just going to slide on by. Roshan up in 1 minute 30 seconds. That is going to be something SNA, I'm positive, is looking for. I would be surprised if one of Ice Mike's creeps does not just camp there. Yeah, look at Whitebeard already scouting it out. And the Boar is going to go camp there. So they know it's coming, and they want to grab it right away.
Yeah, but a smoke comes out. I think the Hawks are, though. They have the Observer Ward, they have the Hawk, and I think they know about the Smoke of Deceit. They do have the Tiny and Wisp able to relocate in at a moment's notice, and right now just smoking, scouting the pit, and 1 minute left on the Roach timer.
Now Shivas is going to be used on Whitebeard. Whitebeard also going to be the last stood back. He is not going to survive this. He will be going down, and the Batrider, or no, Naga Siren manages to grab that kill. With the Radiant Aura, I assume? I'm not 100% sure how.
Actually got a Riptide on it from one of the illusions, so nice little pick for him. And
oh, it was this illusion back.
Just because he can hold out and let his team get money doesn't mean he wants to. This is a #1 Naga Siren right now, and he is going all out. Serpent Wards drop on mid. That tower is shredded very quickly. But speaking of, this Tiny, as soon as he connects with this top tier 2, is going to be delivering some crazy damage himself.
And he throws up the Avalanche. What a play! The Siren Song, however, is going to cause a little bit of trouble. Io is up here and is waiting to tether for the relocate. He's going to pop the relocate up here, and now he's going to tether, and what Perfect play. Fluffing stuff every time. He is going to die, but he has saved that Tiny a trip to the fountain. Made it the easy way, and now Bright trying to get away. He will not be able to get out of this, and everybody wants a piece of that. Doom taking that.
He's actually pinging out Tinker. I think he wanted to BOT to the Tinker, but couldn't get to it in time there. Maybe it might have been the Doom pinging out. Those colors look pretty similar, but either way, that was not an option for them. But I gotta say, not only was that a great play by Fluff and stuff, but a bit of a misplay from Ban Earth Spirit, because they had like a Hex and a Shackle to put down on the Wisp. Both of those would interrupt the relocate effect, but they didn't have the clairvoyance to focus on him instead of the meat shield before them, and the end result is Tiny is able to get out scot-free looking for Roche.
Well, because it was nighttime, I don't think they actually had vision of the IO. I think they knew the IO had been up there, but that I assume Nowhere Spirit saw the IO run off, and they thought, oh, he's going to abandon his buddy. But IO very, very smartly just waited right outside the range of that Siren Song so that he could come in at the perfect time. And honestly, Nowhere Spirit should have seen that coming, but they did not actually have sight on it. So
yeah,
they lacked a little bit of the game sense to know Fluff and stuff was going to be there.
Yeah, precisely that. Now we do see Doom picking up a harder Tarrasque of all things. So he does have crazy effective health with 25 armor and 3k natural HP. So that's quite substantial. As the Doombringer persists through the fights, how do you think he's going to really affect it? Obviously, the Doom dropping down is a big deal. Getting the Shiv as a mechanism, always huge. But the Heart now enables him to right-click a lot more actively. Do you think that's going to change the game a little?
Yeah, I mean, it will make him a less viable target to open up the fight. But honestly, Tiny can target whoever he wants because he's got that huge area splash. He now has a Crystallis up. I don't know that Doombringer is going to be able to get health faster than Tiny and Io are going to be able to output damage. No matter what he builds. And Ush is going to be caught out here. He will be going down. Netted down, and both teams trying to rotate around on each other. But it looks like SNA took the blunt end of that stick.
Yeah, it's actually a great pickoff, because if they want to go for Roche, they can go for Roche. If they want to go for towers, they can do that too. They really have pretty much the full map ahead of them. And Tinker does not have buyback for 650. Obviously, they don't know that, but their two options are to try to force that out by pressuring the mid lane, or right now just safely taking the tier 2. The problem is how fast Tiny can push by himself. Of course, that full inner beast, as well as this overcharge coming out from Fluff, and you gotta look at this tower drop.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, they're gonna actually glyph, so I can't count it out. But yeah, it's about 9 licks to the center of that Tootsie Pop. Answer the hour.
Whoa, BOT with song? No, they canceled it. What the? I don't even know. They popped the song, the Siren. They were BOTing in. It looked like they wanted to try to make something happen, but that would require every single ally to TP in. Doom doesn't even have a TP, so wisely not actually trying for that. But unfortunately, that means they don't have anything to defend the tier 3. No fortification, no TP scrolls, and they lose their tier 3 for free.
They're gonna lose their racks.
Oh gosh!
Oh my god! Shiva's finally down. Here's the Doom comes up. Ice Mike stuns him out. They're just gonna back out safely. Talk about a misplay. That might have just cost them the game.
That's brutal. That is brutal. Miscommunication, mistiming. The positioning of the BOT's Naga, if she was by herself, it probably would have been suicidal, so I don't blame her for necessarily canceling. But by teleporting in the first place, that puts that on cooldown. And if you look at the inventories of the players, like, nobody else had TPs. Batrider had a TP, and that's about it. Nave finally picks one up. They really have to make something happen here, or Roche is already gone.
She activated that way, and Roche has gone before they even have the chance to move in that direction. He's just so fast. The Aegis is up on SNA now. He's got way more gold than he should. He got his Daedalus off of that. Wow.
Act under pressure, man.
That is why you always carry TP, because your Naga Siren might actually... They're going to try to take this Aegis right away, but it's not going to work. Io is going to grab Tiny away from trouble, and then Io's going to go away. Io's fine. He's going to buy back and come back in. Now SNA might be in a little bit of trouble. The Aegis is popped. The rest of his team is going to go and drop down tons of marching machines here. Io's waiting here to throw on the overcharge. There is the tether. The overcharge is up, and SNA is going to be blinked back in. He is now going to just look at him wreck that Doombringer. Half-Right Eggrolled almost died there just from the marching machines. He's going to try to TP out. He's going to be hexed, though. Nagas are not staying with his ally once again.
Well, the thing, Naga Siren didn't have BOTs off cooldown. Like, you see it cooling down right now. If she had stayed, then she probably would have died as well, unfortunately. Like, yeah, you could get the Batrider to TP out. Actually, I don't even know if he had it since it's on his inventory. But if the Naga had stayed to give him that breathing room, she probably would have dropped down as well. There's too much pursuit from that Hawk plus Tinker. And that was just an ugly fight for them. It's very awkward on that cliff. I love the Shadow Shaman Serpent Wards, but it was kind of turned against them when Whitebeard went for that swap. Swap their target up, Tiny was safe and sound, and that gave them the opportunity to kill off the Doom. Essentially, he was singled out, as well as the Vengeful Spirit was singled out, but obviously one of these things is different from the other. Vengeful Spirit not nearly as relevant after that swaps on CD, so they take the fight, now taking the mid lane.
This is going to be game. I don't know, without Doombringer up for the next couple seconds, the Force Staff is going to help Snod get a little bit of trouble. The Mac gets him right back up into shape, and he's going to come in and just overcharge. The tether's actually broken, so he's not attacking as quickly. The Beastmaster's also back. Now look at all those robots, though. The March, there's the Shivas. Grace wants to move in, but he's already down to half health just thinking about engaging on this Tiny. Half-Right Agro going to drag the Tiny back, but there's going to be the swap out of Whitebeard, and there's the relocate, getting Tiny back to safety. The Doom goes out on Ice Mike. He's not going to be pursued. Everybody gets away except Io and Whitebeard, who are going to trade in their lives once again to save their carries.
But you see Tinker, he's got the global presence. He's like, okay, well, I've got about 8 seconds before the Wisp dies. They're wasting their time there. I'm going to essentially take this tower for free. They might get the deny. No, not even that. He just does opening, sees the opening, seizes the day, and they are just completely dominating this map. Like you said, I really don't know if they have any chance to come back from it. I mean, Naga Siren, she is 24,000 net worth. So if anybody can come back from this situation, she can. They still have 5 racks up, actually, but it's so easy for Tiny to find those openings and bring those down.
Yeah, not only that, but Tiny can relocate in with Io anytime there's a single creep in their base and take out 3 racks before Bannerth can even respawn. Naga can't use her boots of travel anymore. Basically, she has to keep those on cooldown all the time because a Tiny Io relocate, if she doesn't have that boots of travel up, she'll lose more than 1 Rax. Even at the time it takes her to channel the boots of travel, they'll probably lose a Rax if there's a relocate with 1 creep in their base. So they have to remain consistently pushed out. They're totally on the back foot. It looks like their base is mostly intact, but in spirit, it's completely destroyed.
Yeah, fair point. I mean, it's such a difficult position here, and it all comes back to that mistake where they were pushing top lane. They had the opportunity to defend, but she tried to defend an outer tower instead of the base tower, and her team obviously wasn't with her on that. They don't end up feeding away, but they fed a lot of cooldowns that they couldn't afford, and now they're in a dire straits in this game. There's Blink Initiation, there's Aghanims. Sure, the gold graph is even, but like we said, that's already been superficially enhanced by multiple heroes on the side of Banner Spirit. And now the full map control and the Hex and the kill on Bat.
And Half-Right Egg Roll also going to take that magic missile and take the real missile right up the bum as Tinker teleports home, grab a little middle mana, and come back in. And also, Shadow Shaman is still only on level 2 ult, so they can't even push as hard as they would want to if they get the opportunity. Tiny's able to knock down towers with a breath, and everybody on Banner is still struggling to get up to the tier 3s.
Yeah. We're going to be looking at 4 Tinies here with the Illusion Rune they picked up and, of course, the Manta coming in. But they start off with the Sheep, and, oh, the song is used just to keep him alive.
They're going to try to reinitiate here, and this is do or die for them. The Shiva's Guard is going to go out. Everybody's standing in it. Ice might take a little bit of damage. Overgrowth goes out. Ashtoda's taking a ton of damage. He will be going down. Tinker is going to buy back immediately, teleport in. Fluff and Stuff is going to be down next. I know he's actually going to get away. Ice Mike trying to get away now. Ice Mike will not be so lucky. The mechanism kept the Io alive, but the Tiny does go down. They actually managed to fend that off a lot better than I would have expected, and it does sound like Io goes in and gets a kill on the Shadow Shaman, but was not able to get away.
Well, that does show the strength of the Naga Siren. I mean, one of the highest DPS heroes, single target in the game when she gets fed, but in that, I still gotta say that was awkward from both sides, especially no Earth Spirit's focus fire. Like, they didn't really focus the Wisp too hard, and that was obviously to their detriment as he was able to get the big mech off on Tiny, and he just kept on fighting. But all the same, he is mortal, and he does fall down as they just bunched up so much, and the Doom was on point.
I thought for a second Naga Siren was going to forego the Lincoln Spear and go straight for a Divine, because she did save up 70 or 7,000 gold. But she is going to go for the Lincoln Sphere, which honestly, at this point in time, survivability is not her problem. The ability to kill the other team fast enough is the problem. I see this. I feel like this is an issue a lot, where the Lincoln Sphere comes out for the Naga Siren, and honestly, skipping that at least at the beginning to get some damage might be better, because their ability to siege the high ground is really their problem.
Yeah, I definitely agree about the difference between offensive defensive aspect here. Her supports can pick up the Lincoln Sphere and put that buff on her, but as far as that goes, it's just providing her those $15 stats. I don't think Divine Rapier is a comparable alternative because of the fact that, of course, it doesn't propagate to illusions. So if she wants to put out as much damage as possible, maybe a Diffusal 2, maybe a Butterfly or an E-Blade, but that's just for the stats mostly. We do see some movement with the Relocate, trying to pick off the Treant Protector, and I think with this toss, they get it.
Oh, the Overgrowth is going to save him for a second, but not save him for long. That tree is knocked down by the big boulder. Relic is going to come in, but Tiny and Io are out with the Relocate. So Ice Mike going to be left alone. The TP comes in from the Tinker. No, the bird dies before. The Illusion's trying to do a little bit of damage. Save up Ice Mike. Ice Mike will be going down, though.
Got to watch top lane. Shadow Shaman coming in with Serpent Wards here, and the backdoor protection is certainly going to fall, but here comes Tinker. Double March, and that's all she really needs. In fact, could probably solo kill the Tinker if he was looking for the opportunity. Still, good movements with the Manta Illusion, using the Manta Style to dispel the Overgrowth. That's what set them up for the kill, but they still, with the Song of the Siren and reinforcements, are able to trade it for IX Mike. So I'm not sure how valuable a Beastmaster is at this stage. I mean, he is running still Tranquil Boots, the Vladimir's Aura, and the Aghanim Scepter, so I think he's kind of a walking Primal Roar, but even so, a kill's a kill, and they'll take that to the bank.
But to be 100% fair to IX Mike, when this was drafted, you know that they said, well, you'll be around. Like, that was the entire, the whole point of Ice Mike is be there in team fights and get a Primal Roar. Have your aura last as long as possible on the Tiny, but otherwise, we don't care what happens to you. Just don't feed too much. He's only died 7 times in a 42-minute game. Being a complete, like, having no farm in the off lane, giving absolutely no rotations. He's not had any space opened up for him. He's not a priority at all for SNA, and he's doing pretty well considering.
Yeah, I mean, essentially at the draft, they're like, okay, shared unit control with Tinker. Give me Hawk. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, go get yourself a coffee. We'll let you know when we win. And Tiny has 3,700 gold. Okay, now we're starting to see some additional aggressive items come out as the Diffusal Blade is up on the Naga Siren. That's going to help out up against this. Tinker is going to have to go back so much faster for mana and not going to be able to use the indefinite Hex Trap, not going to be able to use the indefinite March of the Machines Trap as effectively anymore. This is Aegis and Cheese, and it is being uncontested.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, look, it drops in maybe 5 seconds.
Yep.
Wave of Terror, Tiny Overcharge, easy peasy. And the Cheese doesn't go to Wisp. Who's going to be carrying that one? Actually, the Tinker, interestingly enough. He is very mana dependent, but you got to love the Cheese plus Wisp play. Yep. One thing you can even do with it is, if you're not worried about the Radiance ticks, if your positioning's right, you can actually overcharge down to minimum health. You'll set up about like 5 to 10%, and then as soon as somebody's about to drop down, tether Cheese full HP. But, you know, one way or another, they'll make use of it, and it is a very nice thing to have coming out of Roche 3.
Yeah, I imagine the Tether Cheese makes that so much easier, but I imagine that Tinker's going to try to hold on to that as long as possible and just hand it off to Tiny when he loses the Aegis anyway. So, and Tinker is more survivable. The other thing is, if Tiny does get caught out, Tinker will always be able to teleport in to hand that cheese off if he needs to, whereas Io can only do it once every minute. So there is that. I don't know. I think that putting it on the Io would have been the right choice, but SNA, clearly there are advantages to putting it on the Tinker. It's just maybe not the advantages that you and I seem to think are the prime advantages.
Let's look over this Treant Protector. What has he really accomplished this game? He's forced the Tiny to buy a Manta, which he normally would anyways. Beyond that, a couple of our growths. Oh, base! Like, look at this. Like, the backdoor protection is going to help out here, but they're still pulling some shenanigans. All right.
There's going to be lasso. Fluff and stuff is going to go down.
And Tiny's locked in place here. That's going to be 2.
There's going to be no response here either. They're going to lose the Aegis and the Tiny. The net's going to come out. There's the Overgrowth. Tiny's going to go down. What was that?
I don't know, man. I really, like, I was, like, caught mid-sentence because I had absolutely no idea why they would possibly do that. The entire team's waiting for them. They have plenty of lockdown. All they had to do was kill the Wisp, and suddenly, taxi cab is out of gas.
That was just impatient Dota from SNA, and not something that they usually suffer from. They're aggressive, but they're not usually blinded by aggression. That was... They had no vision on the map whatsoever out past their own river. They had no idea where the opponents were. They had no idea if Naga Siren was in base, if Brix was in base. And now Tiny has 40 seconds. He does have a buyback. Yeah, he does have a buyback up, so he will be buyback very soon, I imagine. But Tinker actually keeping those waves out, then fortifying the structures. Why?
Good question. Illusion's doing some damage here. They wanted to defend the tier 3, I'm not too sure, but now the Serpent Wards come down, and they really have to contest this.
Yeah, there's going to be the swap. And, wow, the IO is going to relocate at the same time as the Science Song. Everybody takes a moment. SNA is in trouble. Being pinged out by his opponents, the Dagon goes out, followed by the March of the Machines. He has been rooted down, though. There's the Overgrowth. As Ice Mike trying to get away, SNA, there is going to be the cheese. Used up for SNA. It was handed off to him. And 3 down. Half-fried egg roll is going to be all the way dead. As another Tinker grabbed a ton of kills with his Dagon there.
Wow, beautiful response from SNA. I feel like that Song Siren was intended to be a calibration period for Ban Earth Spirit to say, okay, we need to target this guy, we need to do this, but it was actually the perfect thing for Fluff and stuff. He had relocated earlier to attempt to break the lasso. Of course, it was swapped, so it was unnecessary, but the rubber band effect of the relocate, where you get sent back 12 seconds later, applied to Tiny while he was in the thick of things. He got Overgrowth and then zoom right back into his base to safety. As you said, he gets past the cheese, and from there, they just turned the fight right back around and most likely marched back to victory right here in the mid lane.
This has been, the last 15 minutes have been a roller coaster ride of emotion for me. I don't know about you, Blaze. It does look like this is going to be a dead Rax. Relic does not have an ultimate. Yeah, he does. Didn't he just use it?
60 seconds, man, going in.
Man, I cannot believe that it's been 60 seconds. And Ice Mike immediately getting bursted down. And he gets the Primal Roar off on the bat right before he goes down. Now Ush, SNA rather, is going to go down. There's no cheese to save up this time. And another 3-man trade going the other way.
It really is a roller coaster. This is absolutely ridiculous. We thought this game was over, and the map control was really in the hands of SNA, but a couple of throws one way or another. Hyo, of course, going to drop down again as he tried to relocate away unsuccessfully, and forcing buyback after buyback. Now look, Tiny, no, he used his before. Obviously, he had like 50 seconds on his death timer previously. Now he has 60 full seconds. They have to wait it out, and I'm not sure if the Tinker has enough counter push to do it.
Yeah, the new changes, or the not new anymore, but the recent changes where the buyback counter adds to your previous, or to your next buyback, is really hurting Tiny here. They, the buyback time that he caught like 30 seconds off, added on to his respawn here. Dying so close to when he bought back is just, he really didn't get that much out of that life other than keeping them out of the base. However, the Tiny looks like, or the Tinker rather, looks like he's going to be enough, along with the threat of the Primal Roar, to keep them out of the base.
Top
and then,
lane,
wow.
90 HP from the Naga Illusion, so close to defend it, but every second they're out here on the front lines, their base is dying, their tier 4s are dropping on bottom lane. Either way, they're going to try to man mode in the front line. Song of the Siren will come out, and I'll let you take it from here.
Alright, Song of the Siren is going to come out. They are going to get as many illusions as they can up on Ush first. Ush is going to be taken down. Whitebeard Dota also taking ton damage. The IO is going to come in and relocate, but Ice Mike not going to be the lucky savey. There's going to be a buyback coming out of the Vengeful Spirit as Whitebeard comes in and tries to do anything. Serpent Wards have gone down. One racks up, the range go down. The melee are getting very close as the IO comes back in. Now SNA is back up. He's going to get rid of these wards as quickly as possible. They managed to save the melee racks, but not the melee racks top. The melee racks top are going to drop his Tinker. Where'd Tinker go? He went back into his base. Okay, I thought he might be going down into his opponent's base to try and do another last-ditch effort on
he is down. Well, kind of. He keeps on canceling it. I don't know why. He's like, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? But he's seeing more people on the map, realizing it wouldn't be a good idea. And yeah, also Ban Earth playing pretty tentatively there. I mean, they had 4 people on the front line. They had Doom up for the Tiny if they did want to try to force it, but it probably would have been another broken heart retreat, because they seem to be unable to fight on even terms when it comes down to it. And right now Tiny is back on his feet, no buyback hindrances, and farming up 2,400 gold. All he needs is BOTs, and I guess he's 6-slotted with that heart, or Satanic maybe.
Yeah, that is, I think Satanic probably going to be the better pick because of how active this Banner squad is up against him, although he can be hexed out now, and the Satanic is obviously not going to be activatable while he's in Shackles, while he's in Hex, while he's in Lasso. And Whitebeard Dota is literally praying to the gods of Dota at the altar of Roshan and just standing here hoping it's going to be a minimum Roshan time. He's got to be careful, though, because the entire Banner squad is nearby and thinking about maybe rotating in very soon as well, I suspect.
Yeah, essentially Vengeful Spirit has now taken up IX Mike's role as the hawk of the game. He's just trying to find the timing, and it is really important. Getting this Aegis, getting this cheese is what will secure them the game if they can manage it. But right now, full 5-on-5, I think. It seems like both teams are pretty well primed and raring to go.
All right, Tiny now coming in and just standing around, doing what he can. The gold for the first time has popped over the 10,000 limit in either direction. Up until very recently, it hadn't really popped over 5,000. And gold is now almost 14,000 in favor of Banner. Experience for the first time in a long time shooting up into Banner's favor as well, as they move up onto the last remaining outer tier tower down here on the bottom, trying to knock down Dyer's TP spot for that Roshan.
Yeah, 1 minute and 40-second spawn time for Roche. Above average, to be sure, and that means that they're going to be waiting a while if Whitebeard does intend to use the next few minutes this way. But yeah, in the meantime, Tier 2 bottom will fall to the Illusions, and it is actually pretty hard to deal with a Naga at this stage. Like, essentially, a really good Naga player, like Miracle-esque, is going to be able to actually drop all her Illusions, Manta and Mirror Image, put them on the tower, and then the actual main Naga Prime will go in to where the heroes are and sleep them. And if she can sleep them away from their buildings, the buildings will not be invulnerable, they'll die to the Naga alone, and that's Mega Creeps.
Yeah, and I think that is part of the reason why we are seeing whenever SNA is up here, Tinker is making sure that he's not too far away from the tower, dropping those March of the Machines forward, but also making sure that it's very difficult for the Naga to make the distance between the tower and him. He'd have to come all the way into the base about this far in order to make that happen. So very nice positioning overall coming out of Tinker, preventing that from happening, but it's very difficult to make sure that you have that positioning all the time, especially in the face of the DPS coming out of the Naga Siren, the burn damage, the damage coming out of the Doom, and the Shiva's burst. Brix is now sitting at almost... I mean, he can get rid of his drums and maybe make the Treant buy a mech and sell the mech to get something else, but he has 6 pretty decent items. He's certainly 4-slotted, close to 5-slotted. 15 seconds, and we're going to see a Roshan fight that is going to define this game.
Yeah, most likely. A lot of room for error on the teams previously with all these buybacks, but now those have been primarily exhausted. Only 4 buybacks, soon to be a 5th and 6th for Doom and Bat, but really, it really comes down to the next big fight, and we'll have to see if it's going to be a rat play or if it's going to be all-out aggression from both sides, but they obviously have the potential to do either. Right now, though, it seems like Ban Earthspirit have a little bit more control of the map. They push out bottom lane, and essentially everything's pushed beyond the river there. And it's hard to say.
Well, Ban Earth can push out 2 lanes at a time with that Naga Siren, whereas SNA can only push out the 1 at a time with the opportunity to react in another. They're going to go in 1. They've got the overcharge up on Bright. They did smoke in, and the pings are coming out. Ban Earth knows the Roshan change for 6.80, where his armor's amped up, is actually hurting SNA a lot here. This would normally be down, but a 54-minute Roshan is no easy task. Tiny is not going to grab the Aegis. The cheese is going to go up on the Io, and the Aegis is up on the Tinker. Meanwhile, yeah, the push in the bottom is doing a little bit of damage there. And no reaction whatsoever coming out of nowhere, Spirit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they forgot about the change that Observer plus Sentry Wards will not reveal smoked units or what, but they were almost like waiting for the enemy to walk right in, and they did, but they didn't know it. So
yeah,
that was pretty awkward for them now in this position where they just have to hard rat. You look at this Naga Siren's farm. She can start doing that abuse where you could like buy all the Sentry Wards and hand them to an ally for them to sell, because she's banking like 14,000 gold. Like, she is so freaking rich and can buy any item in the book, but I mean, what does she even go here? Like a Butterfly or an E-Blade instead of the Linked Sphere? Does she sell the Radiance and go for Daedalus? I don't know. I mean, they don't have AC Aura. So when I was talking about 7-slotted Naga Sirens, one thing they do is they put the AC on the Naga Siren from the Courier, activate Mirror Image, so the Illusions have the Aura, and then you put the Linkeds right back on her. And that's an option, but right now Relic just focused on basic Illusion play while making 14.5k.
Yeah, they definitely need to get some... I mean, across Ban Earth, they're still having a little bit of trouble pushing up into this high ground, the last remaining high ground. getting a Desolator on the team would be tremendously useful. It doesn't matter who it's on. Just one attack onto that tower with the Desolator, and it will drop instantly.
Refresher coming out for Doom. Who do you think his two main targets are here?
Well, it's going to be the IO and the Tinker. It's got to be, right? You got to keep the IO from saving people. You got to keep the Tinker from hexing people. So just throw them down on that, and that is basically half of Tiny's survivability is linked to that IO. Maybe more if you count the relocate saves. So
I definitely agree with the point as far as Tether and the healing aspect goes, but one thing you got to think about is now he's relying on the Satanic for some healing as well. Satanic is in crazy big if you don't dispel it with the Nagasaren's Diffusal, or if you don't doom it so he doesn't generate any lifestealer crits whatsoever. So I honestly don't know. Do you doom the Tiny so that he doesn't benefit from Satanic other than the passive stats, or do you really just take out the medic who is running that cheese, which, as I mentioned, can be so potent at times?
I think taking out the medic is the right call, because not only is that giving him survivability, the overcharge gives him so much. Yeah. So, and it's also not more than survivability in the fight. It's also like when you cannot survive, the IO can make you survive by just pulling you out of the fight. So if you absolutely can't win a fight, the IO can still save you if he's up. Whereas, you know, if you have the Tiny doomed, yeah, he might not be able to get the regen from the Satanic, but the IO can just remove him from the fight until the doom's over, if he wants to. So, it's also a positional thing. If you move in and you can't see the IO, you might as well use the doom on the Tiny, right? But try and make sure you grab that kill. Tiny one-hit stomping entire waves of mega creeps.
Yeah, but still, they're trying. They're pushing in with the illusions on the racks. They're just regenerating up, no problem at all. And yeah, all those rooms for error with the buybacks are now primed and ready again. It means that the next fight might be 10 versus 10 as far as these extra lives go. Really, right now, Vengeful Spirit and Wisp, the two supports for SNA, are the only ones without buyback. And of course, there is the cheese on one of those too. So yeah, I'm not sure right now. He's just hammering away, holding the line against these illusions, and they are essentially doing nothing to the melee racks.
Tiny right now reminds me of when I play Risk, and I have like China with one man on it, and he's running around the entire border defending from every direction. Well, this is a two-man squad, but it's more or less the same thing. They're just staying here in the base, clocking away. Do you think maybe Tiny thinks about dropping his treads and grabbing another damage item, a Monkey King Bar or Divine Rapier or something, and just relying on that IO to get him to and from the fight?
Yeah, in theory, it could be very solid. I actually haven't thought about that too much, but that could be really solid indeed. What would be the best thing to clear out here? I mean, like, the Butterfly does provide evasion and does give him the attack speed. It used to be a, like, Dota 1 really old school build, but he's got the data. I mean, I feel like he's got everything that he wants already.
Yeah.
Divine Rapier, that's where you gotta go.
Well, you know, if you are throwing out, well, what would that be, like an 1800 crit across a range around him about that big?
Yeah.
That would almost certainly be a GG moment, especially if the IO has the tether with the cheese. But I don't know. It's so risky to buy one of those when you're down this far and you still have potentially a window of opportunity without needing it. Getting one and losing one and then guaranteedly losing the game is so much worse than not getting one and probably losing. You know what I mean? It's such a hard decision for them. And plus, the lack of move speed means he might get kited out, even with the relocate to get him into the middle of things. They do have the Siren Song, which means that Tiny is going to need some move speed.
Age is going to be reclaimed from the Tinker in about 55 seconds. They're trying to make some moves across the map, canceling some TPs, faking some people out, but I'm actually pretty interested in the posturing of Whitebeard. He's been blinking along the side of the map for the past, like, 2 minutes straight. He's moving towards an abandon if he's playing matchmaking Dota here, but yeah, he's been all on the sidelines trying to find his perfect opening, and really, if they do find one easy kill, if they do find one single opening, then that could seize them the game. So I see why he's doing it. He's got his TP, worst comes to worst, but now we see this smoke movement on top, and we'll have to see how it plays out.
It's also worth noting that almost everybody for Banner has 6 slots, so there's only 3. Well, no, I guess that everybody actually has, though. Okay, Bright is going to be taken out, and Phantom Soyan taking a ton of damage from the Tiny. Tiny couldn't try in. Death Shot going out along with the Servant Wards. Tiny's taking too much damage, but he's going to be swapped out defensively. Whitebeard teleporting up to make sure that he could help, but abandoning his previous Minecraft-style gameplay and getting into the fight. That is 2 down. And one of those is the IO, which means SNA is not nearly as survivable, nor does he have the cheese available.
Those are the 2 heroes that didn't have buyback, man. 80 gold on Vengeful Spirits, but no chance in hell for Wisp. But now they get the ensnare on Tiny. This could be it. They'll refresh, they'll doom. This could be huge.
Oh, okay. Bricks is going to be sheeped out. The Tinker's coming in. There's going to be additional Dagons. Nice, Mike throwing out the Primal Roar before he goes down. Now SNA coming in and doing a ton of damage, swinging that big stick. Doom is narrowly going to escape with 400 health. And they managed to hold the line, but they do lose a Rax top.
Wow, this is so difficult. I mean, they still have a chance at this game with these massive crits, with the relocate available, but IO down for the count for the moment. And actually some shenanigans from Tinker pushing out on the bottom lane with these March machines. Yeah, right now the melee Rax drops down in the mid lane, but does the creep strength even matter that much? Courier, unless it has something on it. Radiant Courier has nothing, so not that big of a deal either. What I was going to say is, do mega creeps all 6 racks down? Does that even stop the Tiny from really examining his potential to clear the waves? Like, obviously, it puts their base under more and more pressure, but they're practically holding onto their tier 4s at this point anyways.
Okay, Tiny is going to go ahead and drop something. There it is! There's the Divine! What did he drop for that? He dropped his...
Manta Style.
Manta Style. That's
be really bad here, actually.
That's an interesting choice. Getting rid of those illusions. I guess illusions weren't really doing that much at this stage anyway. They were dropping down so fast. And also Naga Siren does have the ability to just purge them with the Diffusal Blade. So maybe the Manta Style not the pick anymore. The Divine is up, and no longer, even if they get the Megas, if they get every Rax, you're right. Tiny can just clear those waves. Not a problem for him whatsoever, and Tinker can continue to push out fairly well. But the problem is that Tiny needs to be able to get out, and now he has Boots of Travel as well. So he sold his boots. He's taking on Boots of Travel, which means the IO doesn't constantly need to be babysitting. So IO might be able to bring somebody else into the base, might be able to bring the Tiny into the base, have the Tiny get out on his own. They're preparing for a push here, though, with the March of the Machines. Range Rax is...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to drop. It won't be healing, so that's a pretty good damage. But, I mean, just poke and prod. Not going to include. But I love Batrai's position right here. His Firefly's going to be on cooldown if he doesn't walk out immediately. But he might be able to get the initiation they're looking for with that lasso. Relocate coming in, though. Here we go.
All right, the Siren Song to counter that relocate. Bricks is just going to stand next to him. Relic getting ready as well. The Overgrowth is up. There's going to be the Shivas getting ready for him, but the stun does go out from the Avalanche. There's the one Doom on the Tiny, and the relocate is going to save them. Bring them back. Everybody's going to get back up, and Tiny doesn't even feel the Doom.
Yeah, that is actually pretty awkward for them. They cast so many ultimates there, actually all 4 but the lasso. And they can refresh the Dooms, but the Overgrowth went out on heroes that don't really right-click in the first place. The Rage Rax, however, will fall. They're pinging it out. They want that melee Rax, but here comes the lasso onto Tinker.
Oh, what a swap!
Whitebeard saving him, and the Roar is out on Doom. Can they bring him down with these sheep sticks? No, forced out twice over. Whitebeard blinking in for the stun, and huge damage coming out on him. Of course, Whitebeard will fall, but look at Tiny delivering those right-clicks with the Divine Rapier, looking for more crits, but it's ensnared in place, hexed in place while IX Mike falls before him. Marches everywhere, gems hit the deck, but all that matters is this Tiny swinging away, trying to hold the line, but Relic is now coming in. And if he can get this ensnare, he might be able to get the kill. No, he will fall back.
There's another Roshan in 10 seconds. So the very fast respawn Roshan that Whitebeard was hoping for earlier comes now at the least opportune time. This is going to be a dead melee barracks. SNA is going to go down here, it looks like. He is going to be lasted down, or he's... wow. He is going to go down right there. He does have buyback. He's immediately coming back in the game. He's got the IO. He's got the Tinker. The Divine Rapier was dropped. He's coming in. He's trying to get it. He goes to toss. He's just going to ignore it. No, the mechanism goes down.
Doom has the Rapier. They're just walking away with that. They've got Mega Creeps. They got a free Divine Rapier. And they will let Tiny deal with it, but he's not done yet. He will relocate in, looking for Tinker to set him up with the Blink Sheep. Can he get the rearm right in place? They get some vision. There's the Hex onto Doom, but Batrider is the only one that they're in range for. He's actually turning it around. He goes for the Shiva's Guard. He really is trying to get himself out of the situation, and Tinker is out of mana. So I don't think that they have the lockdown. And Doom is going to slip through their fingers with that Divine.
How painful. The Divine is sitting there. He's by himself, but Naga's coming to back him up. That is a moment. And remember what we were saying. Well, Doom will eventually probably drop that mechanism, make somebody else buy it. Well, no better time to drop it than when the Divine Rapier is free and on the ground. They're trying to clear out their Ancient. They think they can still take it. Can they? Half Fried Egg Roll is going to go ahead and pull Whitebeard Dodo away from the fight. The net goes out onto Tiny. Tiny trying to swing away, but he's taking too much damage himself. Now he's going to turn around with the Satanic. He's got another full life ahead of him if he gets a couple of attacks. And IX Mike calls the GG at 65 minutes and 30 seconds.
Just couldn't do it. Sure, the Tiny can wail away at any creeps that come out, but the Merch Machines was no match for them. They got to the throne, the wards dropped, they tried to hold it, but the buybacks were expended, and in a freaking 65.5-minute game, we see the equalizer come out. No ban Earth Spirit takes it to 3.
All right, that is why I love Tiny games. That game was quite a show. We've got one more coming up for you. My name is Gorgon. You can catch me on Twitter at GotCowDota, and I'm joined by Blaze, to my pleasure. Blaze, where can they find you?
Twitter.com/BlazeCasting.
All right, so we are going to be right back with game number 3 of this heart-stopping series. Stick around on Dota Trash.